This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. Plus Nate, minus Alex.
Ka-chow.
There we go. We'll have no official ka-chows. We'll say an imposter ka-chow from Jim. No coloring. If anybody's on the socials, we saw one of Alex's drawings make its way from the People of Walmart coloring book to the socials. So you're welcome for that treat. There'll be more to come over time, but today is Wednesday, April 23rd, and it's a great day to talk about them sports because in the latter part of this week we have the NFL draft.
Finally.
We've had some jersey retirements in the state of Colorado, along with some reunions in the WNBA as the WNBA draft was last week. Thanks as always to everybody that's interacting with our content on the socials. Make sure you catch us on YouTube, Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, on Instagram and Twitter at Sports Jim Muff, and Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on the Facebooks. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding, ding. Get that bell on, and we start with an RIP to Pope Francis.
Yeah. T's and P's, Popies.
The singular Pope Francis. But with a bit of a sports twist. Did you all know that the only NFL, NBA, or Major League Baseball team to not make the postseason during his tenure as pontiff, the New York Jets?
Wait, what? Say that random Pope fact again, Muff.
The only NFL, NBA, or Major League Baseball team to not make the postseason during Pope Francis's tenure, the New York Jets.
So the Knicks made it too?
The Knicks are currently in the playoffs.
That's not true. Oh, no, Cleveland made it in. Son of a bitch.
And the Pirates have been in during his tenure as well, believe it or not.
Wow, if you're the Jets.
Even the White Sox, who were 30 or 40 something, 120 last year.
Wow. Like, Jets, you suck so bad that the Pope died because he couldn't wait that long.
So there you go. There's your Pope fact for the day. R.I.P. Pope Francis. We will be waiting for the white smoke in anticipation of the new leader of the Catholic Church.
Like the Lord said, I'll give you Aaron Rodgers, and you fucked that up. So he said, get out of there, Pope. There's no hope for those son of bitches.
I mean, there is smoke involved with both Aaron Rodgers coming and the new Pope's arrival.
I thought it was a dark-colored smoke, not a white smoke.
There's certain smokes for certain events. If they don't have a vote, then there's a different color. If they have a vote, there's a different color. If they have to take a poop, there's a different color. Restroom break. Yeah. Number 2, yellow.
Varying shades of gray.
Yeah. Different colors. And now I will be canceled by the Catholics.
What was that, Sam?
The whole thing with the Pope is very fascinating. Like how they
which part? The selection process?
Like the selection process.
We lock him in conclave and they hang out and figure it out.
And like now he's gonna lay in his coffin for 9 days and people are just gonna stare at him before they like do anything with him.
I don't know if they sit there and stare at him.
Well,
I don't know if that's what we do.
You know what I mean. But
I don't know what you mean. I need you to elaborate on what you think happens.
I don't know. Like, do they all come and like have mass around his body? I'm not sure. I'm not Catholic, but I know.
I am so excited with this conversation.
But I know that he's gonna lay in his coffin for 9 days.
Uh-huh.
And then they do something with him after that.
Then they move a rock and they eat Easter eggs.
This is not different things, Jim. You're talking.
My bad.
No, Sam's actually talking about things with the Pope. You're talking about the Easter. You're talking about.
Fault. I got confused.
Yeah, you're talking about different things here, bud.
Oh.
No, not the same. So, yeah, I mean, I could say that they stand around and have a mass around him. They celebrate him. There will be a mass. He is
what
there.
Will he be there?
in body, potentially
not
also
in
in
spirit?
spirit. I would say probably in spirit as well.
This
I can't say where the
podcast is
Pope's
going to be
spirit goes.
awesome.
I can't say where the Pope's spirit goes.
That's true.
I mean, I'm thinking, I don't know. He was a very cool pope, though, from what I heard.
Big fan. Big fan of this
He
Pope.
was very open to
Progressive Pope.
progressiveness.
Progressive Pope.
Yeah.
When Nate shoots a look and Muff jumps in, I love this episode.
What was the word I was going for? He was very like modern. Like he was trying to change the antiquated, what some people think is antiquated thinking of the Catholic Church. He wanted to move it in a new direction.
Pray tell, give us one example.
Oh, Nate's going to love this episode.
He was very accepting of gay
Go on.
transgenders, and whereas the Catholic Church is not always accepting.
Ooh, we're getting canceled.
I'm just saying, he was.
Yeah, you aren't wrong.
No.
You aren't wrong.
I think he was, he was trying to change things.
Thank you, Mr. Jesuit Pope.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
I don't think it's Mr.
Pope.
It's Pope. You have to go with Pope.
This is
And
the
never
supreme,
forget
the
about
supreme
Pope.
pontiff.
He pieced out after a few days. He was like, you know what? Francis is better off. I'm out.
Who did this?
Pope Benedict, the last one.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he a Nazi?
He's like,
Okay.
this life.
Talk about getting canceled, Jim. You need to calm your tone here. This is a sports podcast. I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure if
asking
that's.
you.
And you're talking about the German. You can talk about the Olympics. What are we getting into? Like, I don't know where we're going here.
I just didn't know if that. You're the Pope expert.
That is not true.
You went to Catholic school.
I was in
This is going to be
the proximity of institutions not so much more time than Jim was, if we're being honest.
You have 4 more years on me.
That's fine. You still have time in, Jim. So
I'm a big fan of the Jesuits.
I know
Big
you
fan.
are. I'm well aware of that. So yeah, moving on into sports talk.
You sure?
I'm more than sure that I'm ready to move on. I don't know if the rest of you are.
Sam, how do you feel? You want to move on?
Good, I guess.
Okay. I know Nate is.
Bring us in the lead off from Jesuit priests to Jersey retirements.
Wait a minute.
What?
Kind of Christ-like, and I don't know if we have him in the notes. I don't know how we don't have him in the notes.
Who?
Corso. Why is he not in the leadoff here?
We're getting there.
Excuse you?
Scroll down, Mr. Clickerson.
Yeah,
I don't really want, why are we going to go with Shedeur over Corso? I think we should just jump up.
To get it out of the way.
You are like Alex.
So
All right,
go
ahead.
Jim. We lead off with controversial topics and get into it. Fair
Okay.
enough. From Jesuit priests
Yeah,
to
but
Jersey
Corso, the
retirements.
Pope, that should have been bingo bango. We missed our shot there, guys.
Are you likening the leader of the Catholic world to Lee Corso?
Yes. Duh.
Please make these connections.
On the weekend, masses of amounts of people gather around as an old white man sits on a stage making 0 sense, but we all worship the guy.
I mean, the Pope Francis makes 0 sense because you don't understand the language.
I didn't
It's
say why they don't make sense.
I just want to put some
being very
context to
factual.
that.
Both suffered strokes. I mean, both very progressive.
Is Lee? I don't know enough about Lee Corso.
I mean, he sits there with Pat. He sits there with Herb Street.
I guess there is smoke involved.
Yeah.
We have incense and
Myrrh.
other types of scents.
Yeah.
You're missing the most glaring thing that I thought about as soon as you started to make this parallel, Jim.
Go ahead then, Muff.
Are there also like adornings on their head?
Bunny hats. Yep. Yep. Thank you, Muff. I'm just
Although
saying.
Corso might be the only one to say, F it on stage.
Yeah, it's true.
I
don't
don't know if Popey was doing that one.
He might have been. We just don't know.
Well, tabernacle. All right, Jim, go ahead. Go ahead. Is that your tribute to Lee Corso? More to say?
I mean, I thought we would bounce off each other, but you guys aren't like. I think this is a shame. Like I don't know if it's a shame. It's a sad day in sports. I don't necessarily agree with the guy. I'm not always the biggest fan of his picks or his takes. I think in the latter years, he was more of a Joe Poff for the show. Sorry, Muff. But like,
Are you saying you're not a progressive human? Because Lee Corso is progressive, and you're saying you don't agree with his takes.
I don't agree with his picks.
Hmm.
His picks. Before you start spinning it on me, you bastard.
I mean, you did say takes as well.
I
Those
meant to
words
say
came out of your
picks.
It'll
mouth.
just be interesting to see what they do on his final show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where do they go?
Yeah. Week 1 officially, not week 0. Week 1.
If we confirm that, so he won't be on week
That
0?
is me reading pretty much directly from that week 1. It was not week 0. It was specifically stated week 1.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
didn't it say like August 30th?
Yeah, it's in August, 100%.
Gotcha.
Well, I'll try to pull up the schedule real quick right now. So
Let's see if there's a marquee game.
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of potentially historical context to where this last game will be. Could be at Indiana.
Ohio
right?
State, Texas.
I
1,000%.
said historical context based on Lee
His
Corso's
first
past.
headgear was Ohio State.
There we go.
I think it'll be Ohio State and Texas. It's the biggest game.
all
It's
right.
one
So
of the
on
biggest
the
games.
30th, there's LSU Clemson.
He's not going to
I'm
that.
just looking at other big matchups: Alabama, Florida State. Yeah, Jim, I think you might be right. That's the only big matchup I see is Texas at Ohio State.
Yeah. And Ohio State will roll out the red carpet for him.
And Herb Street.
Yeah, probably.
They're kind of like going to be tied together in this one.
Well, I wonder if
based on their
Herb Street
history.
stays after Corso.
I suspect he will.
I don't know.
I don't think they're going to cut the whole.
It's going to for 100% be
rest.
the game.
Yeah.
There's no other marquee matchup outside of LSU Clemson.
I don't agree with you, Muff. I think he will do the game day, like he'll do the game, but he won't do the. I don't know if he'll stay around for all the pageantry in the morning.
Who, Herb Street? When
Yeah.
you say the pageantry for game day, the show?
Yeah, I don't think he'll do. I think his role, you'll see him back off.
I don't know what back off means if he's going to be part of game day,
He
the
won't
show.
be
but
there
not part
all
of...
day. I think he'll do less and less hours in the morning
Okay.
and slowly fade into the sunset where he's just doing the broadcast at night, the late game. I think that's what he'll end up just doing. That's my no evidence behind it. That's just my theory. I think he doesn't. I don't think it'll be the same without Corso for him.
I mean, of course, he hasn't been there regularly, so I mean, it's already been different for him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I will be. I mean, the masses will be tuning in for that game day, 100%.
Oh yeah.
That'll be a big day, and a big
Yeah.
day. What is this? Alex in here making noise, making
Listen, my
tacos.
refrigerator's screwing up. Hold on.
How is it
Keep
screwing
going.
up? I don't know how a refrigerator screws up.
The door
Either
won't
Eric.
shut.
It's not cooling. From big days for Lee Corso to big days in Boulder, Colorado. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter have their jerseys retired at the spring game over last weekend. Do we think this is another win for Dion and the Buffalo culture, or is this a big old miss in the national stage?
For Dion, it's a win. For the college football as a whole, it's a loss.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know that I would go that far. I think it's a loss for Colorado in that program. I think it's a black eye on the program. Why would you say college football, Nate? Just curious.
Because I think they're just pushing the narrative of well, it's Shedeur. Like, again, someone, I can't remember for the life of me who said it, but if his last name wasn't Sanders, and we look at the blind resumes, do we retire this guy's number? Absolutely not.
Before he's even drafted into the league?
Yes.
Right? He had a 13-12 record. He had an 8th place Heisman finish. Won 0 bowl games. Whereas if you look at Cordell Stewart, had I think 2 or 3 bowl game wins. It didn't have the same overall stats, but obviously had better stats at Colorado. than Shedeur Sanders. Cordell Stewart had made an impact in the league, but also has famous play, right? Has a very infamous and famous play for Colorado lore, with his Hail Mary, and just has a highlight reel. And not to mention, if you're looking at Travis Hunter versus others in context for Colorado, Deon Figures, as a DB comparison, actually had better stats than Travis Hunter on the defensive backfield side of the coin. Deon Figures, I think, was an All-Pro in the NFL, right, and actually manifested a career and had a more robust college overall picture. But obviously, we've got Travis Hunter with the Heisman. So, Jim, what are your thoughts on the whole situation? Whether this is Deon focus, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, what do you think?
Again, I think it's a black eye on the program. I think it's a black. Honestly, I think it's a black eye on Deion Sanders for legitimacy as a head coach. I just think it's a bad PR move. I don't think it hurts college football. I think this is one of those, for the first time, I think this is one of those where it stays in Deion's bubble and kind of makes him a joke and the program a joke, and like tears at the legitimacy of him. Like, he was played mostly in that sphere of pushing the envelope, and this is where he kind of jumped the shark, so to speak. Like, that was one step too far, Deion. Like, I understand you want to bucket, you want to have spring game against other people, you want to push the narrative of college football a little bit further every time. This is one where I think the traditionalists win here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is. I agree with Jim that it's kind of like a Dion miss, like a program miss to do all of this. I mean, this is during the spring game. Why can't we do this during a high profile game in the season? Wait till they're both drafted. If you're going to do this, why put the spotlight on a spring game? Right? This is doing it before they're drafted. This almost to me looks like Dion was speeding it up because he wants to get this done before he finds a way out of Colorado.
Right, exactly. This is, if you're a coach who is long-term committed, you're going to save this as a card to play as a recruitment tool when one of the two get some kind of accolade in the NFL, get a Super Bowl, get an MVP, get something of substance that you can go, all right, I'm bringing them back so that I can use this moment to show recruits, look, I got guys in the NFL. Whereas he doesn't give a shit about Colorado. He's trying to use this for himself when he goes to the next town.
Yeah. I mean, that was my thought all along, is this seems like a rushed move because we got bigger plans at play and nobody knows what those are yet. But we'll see. And Deon Figures, I think, wore number 12 as well, the same number as Travis Hunter, which I think people had some issue about. Or did Cordell Stewart wear 12? I forget. There was somebody.
No, Cordell was 10, I think.
Okay, so I think Figures may have worn whatever number Travis Hunter wore, which I think is 12. But yeah, we'll see what comes of this. I mean, we'll get to the draft here shortly. There's still some conjecture about where Shedeur Sanders is even going to go in the draft, right? He might not even be a top 10, top 15 pick. So before we get to the NBA draft or the NFL draft, let's talk about the WNBA draft. Paige Beckers goes number 1 overall to the Dallas Wings.
Surprise!
No surprise there based on Connecticut's run and Paige Beckers' overall career. Former Louisville, LSU, and TCU player, and some would say star, Haley Van Lith goes to the Chicago Sky to reunite with former LSU teammate Angel Reese. Was the biggest buzz aside from Paige Beckers' number 1. We had 5 overseas players who didn't compete in United States college ball that were selected, including 3 in the first round. Seattle Storm picked Dominique Malonga from France. The Valkyries took Justa Josite from Lithuania. Chicago Sky also took Aisa Sivka from Slovenia. All were born in November 2005 and will be 19 during this NBA season, which would make them the equivalent pretty much of a college freshman or sophomore. So the international players are starting to infiltrate the WNBA and demonstrating you don't have to go to a high-profile college in order to make it to the WNBA. Anybody see anything else on this draft? News of note?
No, but this makes me wonder about the draft process for those international players. Like, how did they become draft eligible at such a young age? Meanwhile, these other girls have got to go to college for a couple years.
I think because they've played internationally at least 1 year, I don't know if there's a one and done. I don't know how that works, but I think there's just an age limitation, I believe, is how this works in the WNBA. And we know that there were so many WNBA players that were playing abroad, right, to just get a paycheck,
Yeah.
right? So there's obviously something to playing outside of the United States that will prepare them for the WNBA itself. Jim?
I got nothing. Be honest with you.
All right.
I should, but you're getting the best of me tonight, of my knowledge right now. I've been away from sports in general. I apologize.
All right. In the NFL, let's get into the NFL draft. The NFL draft on Thursday in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We're going to get into some of the speculation on the top 10 picks, as well as some of the needs of our teams and some specific player storylines going into the draft that may be interesting to keep an eye on. The speculation is really at this point of what's going to happen after maybe the first 2 to 3 picks, as well as how many quarterbacks are going to be taken in round 1, and how quickly will a team jump on Ashton Genty and get the first running back off the board. The top 10 picks in this order belong to the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, the Patriots, the Jags, the Raiders, the Jets, the Panthers, and the Saints, followed by the Bears that hold on to the number 10 pick. Some of the names that are being talked about, top 3, again, I think top 3 people feel pretty comfortable to say that Titans are going to take Cam Ward, number 1, quarterback from Miami. After that, there's speculation, right? I think people say that the next 2 off the board are likely to be Abdul Carter from Penn State and Travis Hunter from Colorado.
Wait. I think there's debate on that. I think it depends on the time of. I think it depends on who you're talking to. I think they don't believe Cleveland's going to take a quarterback. I think that's solid. I think there's conversation about who they take on defense, because CBS has in all 5, 6 of their experts, they go get Travis Hunter. I don't know where you get the Abdul Carter thing, but that also makes sense. I was at a conference with Cleveland people who the Cleveland fans want them to trade this for more draft picks.
Right.
And go get even more defense and load up on defense. So
right.
that Cleveland pick is sketchy.
Well, that's what I said. I said next 2 off the board are likely going to be Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. I'm not saying
I've
what
not
teams.
seen the Abdul Carter thing. That is you in these notes are the first time I've seen that. I'm not saying that's not true.
Yeah.
I'm telling you from the Columbus standpoint and from everything I've read, the Abdul Carter thing in the next 3 I have not seen. Just a counterpoint. I don't know shit about shit, but I'm telling you what I've heard in my draft conversation. I think then the Shedeur conversation at the Giants has been big talk. Bigly. Huge. So, he entered the top 3 conversation last that I was reading and talking to the pundits of Columbus.
The pundits. When have you ever fell in line with the pundits in Columbus?
I'm telling you what I know or what I've been told, not what I know.
Okay.
Not what I know. So when it comes to those 3, that's what I have heard on my end of the world.
Right. A lot of talk about this draft just overall being very, we'll say, deep in the defensive tackle, specifically along the defensive line, running back deeper than in past years as far as the number of running backs that will be considered, especially in the first 2 rounds. And then beyond that, there's speculation and concern about the depth at some other key areas. So we're going to see where it goes. I mean, other names that have been rumored in these top picks, Armand Bambou from Missouri, Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas, both along the offensive line, defensive tackle Mason Graham from Michigan, Ashton Genty, obviously running back, edge rusher Mikael Williams from Georgia, Will Campbell, offensive tackle from LSU, Shedeur Sanders, obviously as Jim mentioned in there, Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. And again, there is that speculation. If the Giants do not choose Shedeur Sanders, how far does he drop from there? The speculation is after maybe the Giants, the next team that's truly interested in a quarterback is the Steelers, and potentially the Saints, given Derek Carr's health status and maybe needing some off-season surgery.
I don't. Muff, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like, we can have this debate now or later. I don't see Shedeur. If it falls to the Steelers
Mm-hmm.
and Shedeur's still on the board, I don't see how the Steelers organization, just the Steelers, take him with that pick, with like Will Howard still hanging out. When they can go get
Shedeur Sanders is going to get picked before Will Howard.
I don't
Just
think
by
that's
who?
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're Steelers traditionally, and you have Shedeur Sanders, Will Howard, and you're sitting at the what pick do they have?
Steelers
21.
Yeah, 21.
Yep.
Why you would pick a quarterback at all when you know that both those will probably fall then to the second round, and you can go get another need filled.
I understand, like, and plus you don't have to pay the salary that comes with that, the
Right.
quarterback in the first round. Like, no, everything you're saying, it adds up. I'm just saying that after the Giants, potentially the Saints, the Steelers are the next team that people are projecting will take a quarterback in the first round.
I don't think that's them though. That's like I've heard that. I don't traditionally, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh,
I don't see them doing that.
Traditionally, no, but we've got a whole new regime in there. Like, this is post Kenny Pickett, and obviously people are still scoring by the Kenny Pickett first round pick at this point in Pittsburgh. So I'm not saying that won't play into the consideration, but right, you don't have, this isn't the Kevin Colbert GM situation in Pittsburgh. This is Omar Khan. So,
but there's receivers out there that you can go get for.
Who do the receive? What they don't need anymore. That's not an area of need, right? That's just
okay.
I'm saying if you're looking for the Steelers' defensive line is an area of potential need, that would be the area that if they're going to go in the first round because there's that depth outside of the offensive side of the ball, I think they go defensive tackle.
Okay.
And I mean, realistically, we also don't know what's going on with T.J. Watt at this point, right? He put the deuces up on Instagram. Nobody knows what the hell that means.
Okay.
I don't know. Any other players we've heard round one? Jackson Dart. It's also a potential somebody that's like, depending on who you talk to, he's either a first round grade and could go in the first round, or he's going to drop to like the third or fourth round.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone between the Giants and I'd say somewhere in the mid-teens comes up and picks a quarterback. Jackson Dart will go in the first round. That's where it all lies. I think is between like picks 5 and I'd say 15. Is if a second or even a third quarterback goes in between there, then Jackson Dart's going to sneak into the first round.
Yeah, they're not going to wait.
No,
right? They're going to trade up and they're going to get him off the board. So I mean, we'll see. I think that quarterback, the positioning of the quarterback selections is going to be the thing to watch in round one on Thursday. So we will see. Any other players of note? I didn't go deep into all of the players. I mean, we're not Mel Kiper putting up a big board.
We should. One day we will.
Well, we will try. Looking into our teams, our fandom, and we'll start with Jim and the Texans. Jim, what I have gathered from a couple different sources is the Texans definitely looking for wide receivers, offensive line, and defensive tackle, defensive line.
I think those are accurate. I think what I would like to see them do, I just saw it. Hold on. Um, I I understand that Josh Simmons would be the Ohio State homer pick. But Derek Harmon, I'm sorry, from Oregon on the defensive line also would not be a bad look. Would not be upset about that. And then there was one more that I would be like, oh yeah, sure. Hold on, I just saw it. Hold on, Muff. Uh,
What position?
Tyler Booker from Alabama
Okay.
is another one. Any of those three, I'd be happy if that was their first round pick.
If they get to that, you're okay. We did good.
Yeah.
All right. Is there in your mind how glaring of a need is it to fill the wide receiver position, or at least put some more depth in there? Do you think they need to reach to the second round for this, or is this something that they can kind of bide their time and hope to get a diamond in the rough in the latter rounds?
I think the second round would be with Diggs gone. The injury woes of last year, I think it wouldn't be bad to pick it up in the second round. But again, if they stocked up some of those line issues as well in the first and second round and picked up a diamond in the rough in the third, I wouldn't be mad. Like either way, I'm okay.
All right. Nate, from what I gathered for the Bucks, defensive end, linebacker, and cornerback areas of need. Do you agree with that, or have any other thoughts on the Bucks draft strategy?
No, they definitely need an edge rusher in their worst way. They've kind of swung and missed on that with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and I don't remember where he went this offseason, but he's gone. That's just the big thing that they've been lacking, other than consistency at the corner position, is rushing the passer.
And for the Steelers, I'm going to try to act as Alex responding to this. The Steelers looking for a quarterback with the unknown future of Aaron Rodgers potentially in Pittsburgh or elsewhere at this point, or retiring. We'll get into more into that here shortly in his conversation with Pat McAfee. Depth along the offensive line and defensive tackle, aging, especially with Cam Hayward, and the unknowns of what's going on with TJ Watt's contract situation, TBD on there. Alex would say, quarterback, as long as we don't get Shedeur Sanders. We don't need Shedeur Sanders. We don't need Deion's kid in there. They're going to try to retire his jersey after one game.
I think that was the best Alex impression that you could do. Well done.
That's all I got for you. Looking at some top prospects from our college fandom, I'm going to be real honest. I'm glad Alex isn't here today because I had to dig deep to get some prospects from WVU. They've got their top prospect, I think, is a top 100, at least on some big boards. Wyatt Millum, offensive tackle at WVU, Audrey Burks, safety, and Garrett Green. I'm not going to say what number he was on the big board I was looking at, but let's just say it was pretty significantly high, and I would not expect Garrett Green to be drafted.
No, and I think he said he's even going out as a receiver, not as a quarterback.
Yeah. He was listed on the big board I was looking at as quarterback, but I agree. He's pulling the card to go as a wide receiver. So, Penn State, these were, I think, all in the top 100 list that I saw. Abdul Carter leads the way. Edge rusher Tyler Warren at tight end. There's also some speculation on where Tyler Warren will end up, whether it's going to be a late first-round pick, early second-round pick, TBD. Kevin Winston Jr., safety, Kobe King at linebacker, and Jalen Reed at safety lead the charge for the Penn State draft hopefuls. Jim?
The Ohio State, everybody. I'm also worried about next year.
Who are you most interested to see where they fall in the NFL draft?
When you say interested, like what I want to see storyline wise?
Sure. Take that however you want to. I don't care.
For the entertainment value of like, oh yeah, I want to see where Trevion Henderson and Quashawn Jenkins, like I want to see where they both land. Like, will they be playing each other? Will they, like, I want to see that narrative play out.
Mm-hmm.
Just for that storyline. I think the other storyline in my head, solely just me, like just me, I want to see if Will Howard goes to the Steelers. I really want him to go to the Steelers, like, real bad.
Why is this a storyline you want?
I don't know. It just feels good. It just feels good. Of course, I want to see where Jack Sawyer goes, just because he's now an Ohio State legend. But like those, I think are the four stories that I'll be following. Probably real close.
I thought that Denzel Burke may get some more accolades coming out.
I think he's gonna fall like a rock.
Do you? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he was the last on this list. Like, these are in order of where they appeared on this big board that I was looking at.
If somebody got hurt their stock the most this year on this list, it was probably Denzel Burke.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of question marks about his readiness for the league. I mean, he got burned in the
Right.
Oregon game for sure. I want to say he got burned.
He got burned in the Penn State game. Let slant to start the game. I mean, he was solid after that, but that was one big play, obviously.
I just think that's the narrative is like, can he hang? So, yeah. That's my take on that one.
All right. Anything else from the draft? We excited to see what's going on in Green Bay for the day.
I sent you guys a link in the chat, and I just think it's just like noteworthy that they did. USA Today did a mock draft using AI,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go to like certain teams for their first round pick, to watch AI, and they did Microsoft Copilot, Meta AI, Grok, and Chat GPT to watch some of the differences between the three AIs
Mm-hmm.
and just watch them freak the out is amazing. Like when you go to, and I think the Jets are the one that made me laugh. Hold on. Yeah, it was like Armand Membu. Did I say that right, Muff?
Close enough.
Ashton Genty, Kelvin Banks, and McLean from Arizona. Like, I don't know why they differ so much. Whereas the rest of it kind of makes sense. This one's kind of like the Jets are going to pick somebody. AI doesn't know, but they're going to pick somebody. Like the other ones kind of make sense when you look at it. Like, oh, okay, I see why AI did it. But with the Jets, you're like, they're taking their shot somewhere. They'll figure it out.
The Jets have that, like you said, Ahmed Membu, Ashton Genty, Kelvin Banks, and Tetaroa McMillan, wide receiver from Arizona. I believe it's Tetaroa. I think I said that right.
I think you did too.
So, yeah, I mean, that's right. This all comes into these models, right? Where are they pulling the intelligence from? I think that's always interesting is, and with anything AI related, that's of personal interest to me. So,
but it's almost like AI was like, we're throwing our hands up on this one.
Right. There's no consensus among any of the experts.
Right.
In fact, here's just 4 different options just for the hell of it.
Yeah, we think we know, maybe. So.
I'm interested at the Green Bay situation. Also going to be interested if Pat McAfee is there after he had some things to say about the Combine. And Pat McAfee recently hosted Aaron Rodgers for Aaron Rodgers Tuesday last week for an interview to learn more about what's going on with Rodgers and his off-season courting from various NFL teams. Aaron Rodgers expressed that he was surprised. Not that he was being released necessarily by the Jets, but of how it all went down, noting that he flew out on his dime to New York for what he thought was going to be an extended conversation, and whether or not that led to him being re-signed or with the Jets, he was unsure, but it ended up being more of a 15 to 20-minute conversation, which Aaron Glenn let him know that he was no longer going to be with the team.
Okay.
If that's true, that does do him pretty shitty.
Wait, why?
Because, again, if you're going to just cut the guy, like he said, just freaking call him and tell him, don't make him fly out there to come meet you with a new regime or whatever and go, by the way, we're going a different way at quarterback. How do you want released?
Do you think that's really what happened?
If it's true, why would he lie about it?
They have not come out to refute any of that from what I've seen.
I don't think, like, if you're a CEO or owner of a football team, do you want to get into a pissing match with Aaron Rodgers? Whether it's true or false, do you want to even get into that bubble? I just don't think I want even anything to do with it. And I think that's why they cut him. I don't want to get into the hemisphere that is Aaron Rodgers. Like, yep, he made his statement. Let's let it, from a PR standpoint, blow over. And Pat McAfee, it took him WrestleMania to take that news and bury it away.
Took him WrestleMania.
It did.
No, I think so. There were some people that did some Twitter diving, and they found, and this is from like 10 plus years ago, I believe, that Aaron Rodgers once tweeted, "In-person conversations over phone calls every time," which was hilarious that people found that and dug that up and were like, see, you wanted this. You wanted to come out and have this conversation. But yeah, it was interesting that his part of that statement, as Nate mentioned, was, hey, we're going to go a different way. How do you want this messaging to be? Like, and I understand this comes into Jim's point a little bit. You don't want to tangle with this potential firestorm PR. Let's let him dictate how this messaging goes. And he said, I don't care how the messaging is. Pretty much deuces. During this interview, Aaron Rodgers did express that he's not so much worried about the big paycheck here. He said he'd be willing to play for $10 million 1 year for a year, which was a little bit contrary to the reports that he was seeking a multi-year significant deal with any team.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. I think this is the Belichick. He has that Belichick poison on him. Like, if we get him, we are getting all of him and the baggage that comes with him. And like, he is good. He is a GOAT, but you get all of him. And I think that's, as much as I don't like the Jets ownership, and they make a lot of dumb decisions, like firing Saul.
Haven't been to the postseason, Jim. Haven't been to the postseason.
Yeah,
it's Pope times.
I think the way they handled this is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, you came on Pat McAfee and said, I'd play for $10 million. Is that self-serving? Like, or is that calling out to other teams who won't touch you, saying, hey, I'll play for you for $10 million?
Right. That could be a calling out. I don't disagree. So, I said this, and now I'm interested. The Jets' terribleness is biblical at this point now, right?
Yes.
I'm so upset I didn't think about this earlier. During this interview, there was also some allusions to some things going on in his personal life, people close to him, and that's also influencing the way he's viewing this free agency. Like, truly the first time he's a free agent, and also shared he's open to retirement. So,
But that's another one of those like veiled, vague Aaron Rodgers moves. Like, there are women that come out and say, like, when I dated him, my life sucked. His parents and family have come out and been like, he excommunicated us. So, like, what's going on in your life now? Like, you are a firestorm. Or is this you doing a PR stunt to be like, I'm dealing with things? I bet you are. Because anytime somebody enters your bubble, it's chaos. I just don't buy it.
come to Pittsburgh, Aaron. We'll pay you 10. That'll give us more money for TJ Watt's contract. I'm all right with it.
Fair enough.
That's how we get that done. Guess what? I'm all right with it. I can stand a year or two of Aaron Rodgers, the good or the bad, as long as we can hold on to TJ Watt for another 3 to 5 years.
But I think that's the perfect landing spot for him, because that town, that ownership, that coach is built for that firestorm. Like, there are no nonsense.
The Pat McAfee tie, the whole Pittsburgh tie. Like, I think, right, there's a lot of positives that could come of that, from, like you said, that PR standpoint, as well as corralling the beast that is Aaron Rodgers in a circle.
McAfee will call you a fool because you're burning his town. And McAfee has blood in the game then.
Right.
So, I think that's part of his hesitation with going to the Steelers. Like, he's not a dummy.
We will see. I expected this was going to get resolved by the time the draft by the time the draft happened, but that's obviously very slim chances at this point.
He's made decisions the day of draft. Remember? Like I vividly remember, like, oh, Aaron Rodgers has signed or whatever the day of the draft, and like took the shadow or took the attention away from the draft and made it on him. What was that, like 2-3 years ago?
Well, that had to have been the Jets, because that was the only team he's ever signed with aside from the Packers.
He is a firestorm. So tomorrow we could get news.
Good. Be interested. The firestorm has died down, so maybe it's time to reignite. Moving on to a conversation near and dear to Nate's heart: officiating.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens to the bad ones? There have been relegation for a few NFL officials after last season, 3 of which will be working at the college level, can re-enter the development program later on and work their way back into the NFL, essentially relegating them to power conferences in the college football world. Some sources stated or shared that the union was not involved in this process, and as it had been described, these officials accepting the offer to the college conferences, it bypasses their union processes entirely, any grievance processes, and there's a clause in the latest CBA that apparently has made it much more difficult to win a reinstatement appeal from old Commissioner Goodell. Nate, how do you feel about officials being relegated?
Well, from what I was talking to my fellow officials that are in the college ranks, they said this happens more often than you think. That just for whatever reason, this time there's more noise because they were newer officials. But I don't know. I mean, if the NFL's like, hey, we think you need a couple more years in the high ranks. I mean, it's not like you go from the NFL that's like, oh, by the way, you can't even get into major Division I football. It's not like they're sending you down to like small Group of 5 or Division II, Division III. I mean, these people are going to get their opportunities again.
Right, as long as they don't screw it up at the
Yeah.
college level. Right, I read that this happens more often than we all believe, but like I said, this is the first time I actually saw it across the timeline and dug into it a little bit. It's interesting, definitely interesting to me. I mean, this makes sense. I would have expected the union to be a little bit more active in bargaining against this, but apparently it's the old Commissioner Goodell kind of has the iron fist on this one in the end. From NFL to college, we're going to start out with Nico Iamaleava. I'm a coming. I'm going everywhere. I'm a believer that I'm going to go to UCLA. But the drama does not end. And the drama continued throughout the week before he decided he was going to UCLA. But there's more going on now. The transfer to UCLA was all the talk initially. Then things kind of went radio silent amid the reports that the number was going to be less than $2 million, which is the number he was intended to receive at Tennessee. This even led Cam Newton to speak out, saying that the players aren't going to make forever money in college and should seek what helps them be more comfortable in college and prepare for the NFL, not negotiating for every last penny. Interested to see where you all were throughout the last week in following this initial story of the UCLA talks and how nothing was happening. Any thoughts, comments, observations during that time? Nate?
No, I just remember from the beginning, I'm like, whoever takes this guy in is going to have to do some real explaining to their roster. So I think if I'm a UCLA player right now, I'm thinking, man, there's all this word around that this guy wants to leave a big time SEC program, wants $4 million, and now he's coming here. It's like, is his heart really in it, or is he just like a really selfish, like me kind of player? Like, do I really want to be on a team with this kind of guy? Because he's coming in there to start, and a couple of other players that were quarterbacks at UCLA said, "Oh, you're going to bring this dude in? I'm out."
Yeah, Jim, do you have anything in the ether sphere of your world or people around you?
It's comical to us. Like, I don't know how to explain it other than, like, we don't want to talk shit because we respect the Tennessee fan base, but there is that snicker. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we did this, but we're not going to come out and say it because we still lost to Michigan, so we can't really do that. But it's like, well, we did that to you, haha. But we do it quietly.
Did what to them?
We beat that kid's ass, and he didn't want to play no more.
I mean, he broke 2 of his helmets.
Yeah, and
He's potentially concussed.
well, and then he cried about his offensive line, and
Jim, but now he's going to a conference in which he could play Ohio State
again.
In fact, more possible that he does playing at UCLA. So in fact, he's come to a situation where he could play Ohio State.
Yeah, but he's no.
But yes, Jim. But yes,
He thinks he's getting a better situation.
he's getting more money.
UCLA plays at Ohio State on November 15th.
So he came to take on the Buckeyes, Jim.
He came to get paid.
To take him down.
He's going to
To
get paid.
take him
for it.
down.
He wants his revenge.
He wants revenge.
his money.
This is the Nico Revenge Tour. That's what I'm going to call it all year.
He says, if you're going to bend me over, give me the OnlyFans money. That's what he says.
Fair enough. It was reported more officially last Sunday afternoon that Nico obviously is transferring to UCLA, and then we had the even more tangled web that is coming out about his brother Madden, who is intending to join him.
If you named him Madden, you basically predestined him to be an asshole.
Not like John?
You did that as if you wanted to make him a football god. Like, you instantly made him to be an asshole.
Or a fashion designer.
Fair enough.
Good one, Nate. So there is a lot of history, which I still don't know if I fully have wrapped my head around this.
Yeah, this is hard even to read.
Right, there's a lot, and I'm going to try to condense it as best I can with the Iamaleava family issues, troubles, along with Nico's representation and how Madden ties into all of this throughout. So, Nico's initial NI deal was worth over $8 million over 4 years. He signed this before he even got to Tennessee. It was a highly publicized early NIL agreement at the time. Overall value 2.4 annually under that contract, so that's why he was looking for more than that.
It wasn't showing up for it. Like, you didn't put that in the notes.
Well, that would have been at the end. That would be spring.
He still was missing commitments throughout for this NIL deal.
Okay. Such as?
Like signings and sponsorship, like commitments.
Okay. So, we've had those troubles as well.
Right.
Some of the additional troubles, started for Tennessee after obviously Ohio State eliminated the college football playoff, and there were rumors. I don't know how many reported rumors, but there were definitely rumors and potential reports that Nico's representation, those that have helped get him into the spot he's in now, were lobbying for a better offensive line, more money, possibly to the point of threatening some level of transfer, with the rumors being that he was trying to get out in the early transfer portal and head to Ohio State. But he and his representation did not properly fill out the transfer portal paperwork. Therefore, he was not eligible to get into the portal in that early time in, was that January? Correct? January?
Yeah, it wasn't like during the playoff.
Yeah, so it would have been late December, early January, right? Because we had Penn State's backup quarterback, Bert Prabula, that was part of that whole situation. So, Jim, I ask you, were there any rumblings of Nico in Columbus?
Not a one.
Not even in the seedy back rooms?
Not a one. And I don't know that would have been cause for jubilation at that point.
Well, maybe this is before the game.
No, it had to have been after the game. Because he would have had to lose for that door to be open.
How sketchy would that have looked?
I don't know that would have gone. I'm only speaking in terms of like my little circle of Ohio State friends, I don't know that would have gone over any more than a wet fart in church. Like that wouldn't have gone over well.
All these church references today.
Yeah, what can I say?
So again, those were reports, rumors. I'm going to say there was definitely probably the conversations about the lobbying for all of these other things.
I think the offensive line definitely happened.
Right. And I think that this whole transfer portal paperwork issue was real.
Yes.
Now, where he was speculated to be going, I think that's all conjecture and rumor.
I think the Oregon thing was definitely a thing.
Right. Dan Lanning.
Yeah.
Popping up again on this. So now we've got Nico and Madden headed to UCLA. But guess what? Madden has a history with UCLA as he was committed to them previously. Madden then ditched the Bruins on National Signing Day for Arkansas. That blindsided the UCLA faithful, and obviously it's still going to be fresh in their minds. And another reason, because he was obviously lobbying for NIL money, and now there's even conversations that these collectives may try to get back some of this NIL money because these contracts were not fulfilled. From both Madden in Arkansas, which is where he was, and now he's leaving to go to UCLA, and Nico at Tennessee. So trying to recoup some of that money. That's the latest hubbub I've heard about these two, their NIL money and their representation in those contractual agreements.
I'm interested in that part, but for other reasons besides these two morons. I want to know if that's even a thing, if you can recoup the money. So I'm interested on how that goes.
Definitely precedent setting if it does go down. But yeah, I think there's just so much around at this point. The representation. Now, I'm not going to say like, hey, if your goal is in college to go out and get that money, transfer, get more money every year, like you could potentially do that as a high profile player, especially as a quarterback. Like you could enter the portal every year. Somebody's going to pay you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's the best for your NFL prospects moving forward.
If
but
you're good, you're good. I don't think that's necessarily a concern. I think from a young person, I think that like that opens you up to so much bullshit. Like, who are we getting rich? Because I doubt it's the player. Honestly. And maybe they're old men on the court.
Speculating it's the representation.
I think the representation, sure as shit, is getting paid. I think the parents are getting paid. I don't think the player's seeing the full cut of this bullshit. And I don't think there's a mechanism, and we've said this for how long we've been doing the podcast. I don't think there's a mechanism in place that protects the athlete. Thank you, NCAA, you fucking morons.
At this point, I don't even know if I can blame the NCAA.
I can, because we said it before. You guys should have got in front of this, and they kicked the can.
Well, yes. No, 100% agree that we've said that. But I don't think, even if the NCAA tried to get ahead of this right now...
Oh, they're done.
No, I think even if they tried to get ahead of it at that point, I think there were going to be so many other people on the other side that was going to force the NCAA's hand. I'm not going to say to be in the situation we're in now.
Yeah.
But I think we would be dealing with the same monster that is, just in a different way.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment.
There's too much money outside of the NCAA to not be battling all of these demons on the other side.
Yeah, I think Congress could have stepped in. I think it could have been a conglomerate there.
Yeah, that's just my thought is it's not exactly what we'd be seeing, but we would be seeing some level of this just absolute dumpster fire that we're seeing.
If only there was a department that handled this in government. I wonder what that department would be.
I don't know, Jim, what it would be.
You would think colleges, Department of Colleges? No.
Yeah, I don't think this is an education point anymore, Jim. Let's be real honest. Where's education in any of this discussion?
Well, that's fair, too. That's fair, too.
If you have athletes transferring year to year, I do not think the degree is the end goal.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. You would just think some government oversight, and that's what ain't happening.
Department of Sport. Doesn't like Russia have that?
Yeah, we all know how that went.
Just saying.
Here off your steroids.
It's an option, Jim. It's an option. New rule alert. New rule alert in college football. Nate is pumped about this one. Last week, a new rule was approved that if medical personnel enter the field to evaluate an injured player after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play, that player's team will be charged a timeout. If the team doesn't have any timeouts remaining, a 5-yard delay of game penalty will be assessed.
Is that legit?
Yeah, that's what people are terming the Lane Kiffin rule.
So you're telling me they can't fake an injury, essentially?
Yep.
Yes, Jim. That's exactly what this is.
Unless you want to burn a timeout or take a 5-yard penalty.
Now the question will be gameplay. How many people were going to fake an injury much earlier now?
Oh, I think you're going to have a lot of coaches say, you guys better not be faking no injury costing me a timeout, damn it.
Right. Now we're going to have people with concussions that are going to be live fire falling. Or not falling. I'm good. I can see 7 fingers.
Well, no, it's the same thing. Like, if you're hurt and you're hurt, just go down. Like,
right,
don't.
But like, what if the ball's spotted?
I think if you know you're going to be concussed or you're feeling signs and symptoms, you're going to go down. You're not going to, like, try to hurry up and go. Like,
now I am curious if a player is put in concussion protocol, if there is like some disclaimer to this rule, because of what Jim's saying is, I get up, I'm wobbling around. Well, like, I feel like the officials will have that discretion. I hope they do at least.
It's got to be some discretion behind it where it's like, okay, you can see that guy's like wavering back and forth and then he goes down versus, like you said, like, oh, he's just standing there and all of a sudden he just falls down.
He just drops.
Or he just takes a knee.
I think, like, if you see a guy going to the other sidelines and you don't notice it because you're spotting the ball and you're like, hey, dummy.
Jim, he's not dumb because he's concussed.
Come back this way. He's like, what? Yeah, you're on the wrong side, bud. You seeing Tweety Bird. Come back over here.
And this is very much the Lane Kiffin rule, though.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. But woo.
I will be interested to see the first time that this gets put into play, like the outcry on the sideline. I can just see, like Nate said, a coach just going ballistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be one of those things that stands out.
But it's up to your interpretation, isn't it?
No, I mean, it's black and white. Okay, hey, if he goes down, but again, it says if medical personnel comes out.
So what?
So are you going to try to tell your guys, hey, get him off the field, training staff, don't go out there if the ball's been spotted? Like, this is going to be hairy the first couple weeks.
I
Right. I mean, NCAA football teams, college football teams, have created a reason to put player safety in more jeopardy because they were taking advantage of the rules before. So coaches have only themselves to blame if there are issues with player safety at this point, because they've taken advantage of the situation up to now.
Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling, just like everything else in officiating, this is going to eventually trickle down to the high school level. I haven't seen this hardly ever in high school, but I'm sure you're going to have it in the big states, like your Floridas, your Texases, your Alabamas, that they're going to be pushing for this at their federation level too.
All right, I think we should move past this. I think we should revisit this.
Should we? I'm certain we will in week 0, 1, 2, 3. This round of the transfer portal, day 1 saw 10,000 players, D1 through D3, enter into the portal.
But the portal's not a problem.
Nope.
Of course it's not, Jim.
We're here.
And remember, this is like the second portal.
Yeah.
Right? This is the second one. Like, this is post-spring game. Yeah, I'm going to find another place to play because either I'm going to be able to move up or go to a better team, or they realized I suck and I should probably go somewhere else.
Stupid.
I'm not going to get playing time. The college football playoff dates have been announced. All of these games will be on ESPN. The quarterfinals will be December 31st. We have the Cotton Bowl, January 1st, New Year's Day. We're going to have the Orange Bowl, a trifecta, the Orange Bowl at noon, the Rose Bowl at 4, and the Sugar Bowl at 8. Semifinals will be January 8 and 9, the Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl. And National Championship will be on January 19th at 7:30.
The Rose Bowl, I'm going to skip ahead a note, but the Rose Bowl will start an hour earlier and kick off at 4.
Not a big freaking deal.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you because I saw that and I was like, why is that a note? And then I remember what the Rose Bowl looked like. You're not going to get that majestic sun setting.
Oh, yeah, you will.
Not as early in the game.
You'll still get it towards the end of the game.
I think that's going to be a thing.
That's a 1 versus a 2 p.m. kick. We were getting the sun setting. I guess, yeah, at that time of the year we were.
Right.
Yeah, so the game being at 1, it'll probably be over locally there as the sun's going down. So
Nate says, "Shut up, Jim."
Yeah,
you'll still get your
It's still
sunsets.
going to be a beautiful sunny afternoon in Pasadena. There's going to be a playoff game, and we're going to live happily ever after.
I maybe you don't remember how much they made such a big fucking deal out of that sunset.
You know, Jim, that's the one thing I always think about whenever I watch college football in Pasadena is like, man, I hope there's a really good freaking sunset tonight.
All right, Nate, I'm telling you.
You know, some people really like a sunset. I don't know why I have to
Then
be
go to
so
the
negative
beach.
about it.
Then go look at the beach.
I like to watch the sunset in Wheeling.
You don't see those mountains in Pasadena at the beach, my guy.
Nate's a California hater, so he doesn't care.
Well, Jim and Sam can go watch the Tournament of Roses parade an
Exactly.
hour earlier and stick around for the sunset in
Gladly.
Pasadena.
I wouldn't mind doing that.
We got a high stake going on, Jim.
Athletic director Ross Bjork told leaders of the college football playoff on Tuesday that the sports calendar needs to change, and it's critical. It's a critical component as they consider the playoff future. Basically, his concern is like these kids aren't schooling, and we had to do waivers to get them through. And academics, I think that was his point because he wasn't real clear in his quote what his actual major concern was.
Was it the portal?
And he
Did
kind
the
of
portal come up at any point?
a little bit, but not. It was more like we need to change and think about the schedule. What I think it is like, hey man, we had a playoff game and none of our kids were on campus, so we didn't look at that because I can't get ticket money if my kids aren't here. That's what I think.
Can't get ticket money if my kids aren't here.
I mean, that was one of the major concerns when we hosted that game was like, how are we going to have people here? How are we going to let Tennessee overtake our stadium? Well,
Because school's not in session?
yeah.
That was. I just now question the Columbus loyalty fan base. Like,
I think you fucking should. That was what we were doing when Tennessee took over the stadium.
I know. Like, if you got to rely on the college students to be there to fill your stadium, I feel
That's
like you
a
got
problem.
problems.
If you go back to the episodes,
No, I'm
I
sure
said
you
that.
did.
That was a problem. And I don't think the calendar's going to fucking fix that, Bjork.
So is high state on semesters or trimesters? Do you know?
I can't think of. I think semesters.
So traditional
Yeah.
fall, spring, summer
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, I was just curious because I mean that has an influence on the timing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
that's why he cares.
yeah, Ross, I think that's dumb.
And our kids and their academics. If that's all you cared about, stupid ass.
How many of them are actually attending NC courses? It's a question I have.
Underwater basket weaving.
There's I mean, to be honest, it's a great model for major Division I teams to have online programs
Yeah.
and students that are interested in because it gives them so much flexibility for everything throughout the day that's not related to class. They can lift whenever they need to.
Yeah.
They can
Prepare
go
for
to practice.
semi-pro football.
Bingo, man. Bingo. That's what it is. And last, in college football, Max Crosby has been named the assistant general manager for Eastern Michigan football. He's the first current player to hold a role of this type in the new college football landscape. I think with this, we will probably see more current players get involved in some way with their football programs.
Cool.
Yeah, I have no idea what this assistant GM while playing football is going to entail.
Recruiting.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what it is, Jim. He's just going to be a figurehead, a person.
Yeah.
All right.
And when Michael Jordan becomes the assistant GM for North Carolina's basketball team,
I don't think that's going to happen.
LeBron for
what? What college team, Jim? What college team?
Akron.
USC?
Akron.
just a kid from Akron.
Just a kid from Akron.
I don't think those schools have enough money to pay them for what they would bring.
I could legitimately see him like being Ohio State's.
Who, LeBron James?
Yeah. Legit.
I mean, that would be like the worst thing for him, as he speculates, as he says, I'm a kid from Akron, and then to be the Columbus kid.
That's the only college that Ohio recognizes, so why not?
That's fair. Moving on to other interesting news in sports.
Interesting news in sports.
Golf world. Wesley Bryan has been suspended by the PGA Tour, stemming from his participation a few weeks ago in the Duels Miami, an event sponsored by Live Golf, in advance of their golf league event that brought together two of Bryan's obvious strengths: golf at a high level and YouTube creation. He has 500K plus followers on YouTube. Bryan was found in violation of the PGA Tour's media rights policy, which is clearly spelled out in the player handbook, which was clearly included in this article, which was very much pointed to in all of the discussions I saw. All of this is further complicated by the recent PIF PGA impasse, as PIF recently proposed a $1.5 billion investment in exchange for Live Golf remaining as it is, and its chairman becoming co-chairman of a PGA Tour. The PGA Tour rejected those terms, stating a desire for Live Golf to dissolve and express concerns over the chairman's prominent position. More of a pissing match, gentlemen, in the golf world.
Let him golf.
Couldn't have summed it up better, Nate. Well done.
Way to go. We have hockey and NBA playoffs going on.
Yeah, that happens. Let's get to baseball.
Wait, we need a sound clip of that shit.
What?
Jim saying, let's get to baseball.
But Jim, Anthony Edwards was fined $50,000 for telling somebody that he had some large phallus vivacity. In fact, had a larger phallus than somebody else in the stands. Fined $50K for that.
For probably telling the truth?
I mean, I'm going to say that more likely than not it was the truth, but it's funny that you get fined $50K for telling somebody you got a bigger dick. That's all I'm saying.
It's ridiculous.
In the baseball world, the Pittsburgh Pirates sell the team movement continues. It's gaining steam. Last Saturday evening, during the Pirates home game, Paul Skenes Day, live broadcast, I could very clearly hear the chants of "sell the team" as they were about to lose the game, and a quality Paul Skenes start. The fans not only were saying this, but the live broadcast dubbed out the audio. They moved to some alternate audio where you could not hear "sell the team" in the background. Paul Skenes started that day. Not all of the fans got Paul Skenes bobbleheads, but guess what?
They will.
They will. How do you know, Nate? Not you personally, but how does one know who did not get a bobblehead at the game?
Don't know.
Bob Nutting has said everybody's going to get a Paul Skenes bobblehead, Jim.
But not a winning team. We'll pay for your plastic, but not a winning team.
Fans are starting to, I guess, show out, as this year they have already had 4 games with under 9,000 total attendance, something that only happened once all of last year.
How do we get this movement to go viral? Like, how do we help?
It's already viral, buddy. Like, there's a guy that purchases billboards.
We need shirts.
Already.
We need shirts. Maybe on our golf scramble we should wear
Sell the nutting team, Bob.
Sell the Nutting Team, Bob.
And we've already got the shirt. We've already got we already have the statement for the shirt. Now we just need the shirt.
Nate is not a fan of this idea for obvious reasons.
I know a girl that could probably make you the shirt, though. I'm just saying.
I think you've pushed the envelope enough today for old Nate.
Nate's just an asshole. There's nothing else to it.
I think he likes security.
I mean, he's an accountant.
Or the nut.
Nate, I wasn't going to go that far. You did that. That's not on us.
No, that's public knowledge.
All right. Well,
I mean, we don't have access to your tax returns.
I mean, most people that know me know that I work in accounting, and everybody knows that I work for the Nuttings if they listen to this podcast.
well, and there you have it, folks.
I don't know if you've ever said it, though. I think we've said it.
I work for Nutting.
Fuck me. All right. Take us out, Muff.
All right, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. As a reminder, you can follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter. I don't even know how to end the episodes anymore because
Sell
of...
the team, Bob.
Sell that nutting team, Bob.